Hello, Zach and Troy.
Lolly ho.
Wrong podcast.
Wrong podcast.
Hey, Jeff, how you doing?
So how's it feel to be on the other side of the mic?
It's strange and refreshing.
Right.
We just talk and then you do all the back end work. This is how this works.
Yes.
Huh.
Wow. What a concept.
We should do this more often.
Yeah, I don't put quite the work in post-production as you fellas do. Does that fall mainly on you, Troy, to do the post-production?
Yes. Yeah, that's kind of, yep.
Yeah. I like to think, in my mind, I like to think that it's a collaboration and that John and I are doing our part.
Right, exactly.
But then I look back and I'm like, I think I just showed up for that one.
Oh man, I enjoy doing it because and I think they figured it out by now that I have my own ways of paying them back for making me edit everying.
Yeah.
That's why I'm very rarely the butt of the cold open.
That's right.
Yes.
Yes. The editor always has the last word.
That's right.
Well, that's funny. Well, the other day I got this package. There's a package that we got in the mail, and my wife thought maybe it was hers, but I looked at this and I was like, WOGD. I'm like, that's weird. I'm like, it must be a zine or something. And I open it up and there was a card.
Yeah.
Signed by Troy.
That's right.
It came with the no, I can't believe I forgot. And build is considered a natural. And I thought, well, that's cool. I had no idea that you guys were doing the fulfillment and for Joel.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then I think like must have been on that week or a little bit later. I think somebody posted something. I think Zach, you did about, hey, we have these services to offer. Who was it that said that? I can't remember. Somebody said that.
That was me.
You. That was you.
Right.
Yeah, that's right. And then I reached out to you and it's like, hey, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, wait a minute, you guys cool with the podcast. So why waste big content, right?
That's right. That's right.
That's right.
And so I guess the question is how, like, you guys have, I think, are branching out with your business. You've done your own publishing. So you're kind of going down this path. And it looks like you're also starting with I don't say starting, but Joel's kind of dovetailed. So like, what's the story of the journey and where are you guys going?
Yeah. So I think, gosh, how do I even start this? It's Zine and RPG kickstarting has always been a collaborative process for me. Like our first project, I collaborated with Troy and with other game masters and writers and said, I can't do this on my own. I need help. I had a buddy who did video production. I said, I can't do this on my own. Help me make a video for this Kickstarter, right? Like it just has always been a collaborative thing. And it finally got to a point where we still needed people. We'll always need people to collaborate with, but we also had a lot of expertise and skill sets that were like, oh, we can help other people now, and we can find ways of bringing their creative nonsense to life along with ours. And so it's like, well, what can we do? Well, we have we've now done, I don't know that I have a perfect count, but like 26 successful Kickstarters. And so it's like, well, we know a lot about Kickstarter. Troy and I are stupid backers that I mean, we have a whole show where we talk about how much money we spent on this sucker. So like, we know the process, we know how it works. And at this point we've delivered so much stuff that we know how to get a book printed, where to get it printed, how to distribute it. We know the pitfalls of stretch goals and printing and accessories and add-ons and all of this stuff we're familiar with. And so I think it was last year around this time, I kind of put out a little feeler thing and said, hey, we kind of want to test the waters with a few clients and see what we can do to help you. Let's collaborate and see. And so Joel was one of the people that responded to that, and he was doing Desert Moon of Karth at that time.
Yep.
He said, I've got 700 books that I don't want to ship out. And I've got a few hundred extra books that I don't have a place to store, but I want to get out there. Can you guys help me? Can we work out something? And we could. Like, it worked out. It was great. We kicked out all those books. We sell his books at our con booth. And it worked out really well. We picked up a couple other clients, Andrew Bashinsky, who did the Den of Assassins 5e, like soft cover, bigger book. And that worked out really well. We've done a handful. And then last year, and I know, Troy, I should turn this over to you for some of it, but last year we kind of got our foot in the door to a bigger opportunity, which was consulting for Modifius with their Skyrim board game, which took us from projects that are, a few $1,000s or a few tens of thousands of dollars into the over $1 million thing. And they were gracious enough to notice that we were proficient in the field and they needed somebody, they needed help. Even a huge company like them, they needed people to partner with, collaborate with. And that was a great experience as well. So I don't know, it just kind of all keeps building, keeps slowly building, and it keeps making sense. Yep. So we keep doing it.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely, especially on the frequency and the volume that people can be dealing with. So I'm thinking even with like Ben Lawrence, I mean, just like, you get a huge Kickstarter, now you got, hundreds of these books, and then the wife's not too happy because your small house is. So maybe you're actually adding to eliminating some marital strife by doing this. So it's like,
yes, absolutely.
There we go. That's our next thing. Marriage counseling.
Yeah. Natural progression.
Couples therapy through zines. This is a thing.
Yeah.
Well,
be a thing.
So what I was thinking too for myself is, I do these occasional projects, but I'm trying to get my frequency up. But I was thinking too, it's like I work a full-time job.
Yep.
I've got, I have other things going on too, the family and such. It's like, there are aspects to, if I want to do something on a regular basis, let's say publish a zine that's maybe biannual, or maybe, maybe every 3 months or even quarterly, those types of things, and handling it becomes more of a difficult thing to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
And it's just, and I think it kind of comes down to, like any business, for you to do something, you've got to make money doing it, but you can do it more efficiently than I can. And but also, for you guys, you need to make money doing what you're doing as well, and figuring out where that cost is, that bottom line is. And I'm sure for you guys, it's probably the higher the volume, the easier it is for you to work with. But I guess, scaling from, is there like a minimum amount that you want to work with as far as size of projects?
You want to take that one, Troy?
Well, I think the way I look at it, as far as the size of the project, you never know with Kickstarter.
Mm-hmm.
You never know what that size is going to be. So part of what we endeavor to do with our clients is to increase that volume regardless.
Yep.
So we help, get the word out about the Kickstarter. We help if they want it. We will help figure out stretch goals and pricing and everything from soup to nuts as far as the Kickstarter campaign goes, to help them reach volumes that they may not have by themselves. So that way, if it was going to be a little project, maybe it's going to be a little bit bigger. And when it's a little bit bigger, it works for everybody. It benefits everybody. So is there a minimum? I don't know. That is definitely a Zac question.
Yeah.
The way I look at it is, if the person fits with us, if the project is an interesting project, let's go for it.
Yeah.
I mean, why not? I don't know that there's not many projects I think that we've turned away.
There's ones that we've like steered people towards things to think about, and them thinking about those things led to it not being a connection, right? I don't think that size is necessarily an intimidation factor, and honestly though, or a detriment. I think sometimes it's the bigger projects that we are more leery of, not because we wouldn't love to take part in it, but because a big project takes a ton of time, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you have, this is going to sound cruel, but I have these same things. If you have delusions of grandeur,
there you go.
yeah,
there you go.
if you close your eyes and you imagine your Kickstarter as a 3-book trilogy loaded full of 900 pages of content and 300 pieces of original art, that sounds awesome. I probably don't have time to help you in a lot of that, right? That's somebody's full-time job, and it can't be mine. Maybe we can help in some ways, but those are the types of projects that we end up kind of discouraging people away from us maybe a little bit on those, just because our timelines and our availability doesn't match with theirs. Smaller projects, heck, like we're helping with like 7 projects surrounding ZineQuest this year in the next few weeks. Because small projects, like you said, Jeff, something that is going to take a creator hours because they're not familiar with, we can bang out pretty quick. Something where you trying to find a way to promote, to build up your follower count for launch day so that you can hit your minimums, and it takes you hours and hours of like hunting for groups or finding ways of promoting that may or may not work. Like, we certainly aren't perfect experts, but we've learned a lot.
Well, I think they're really, even before going too far. I mean, I think to me it's a challenge just coming up with just go to the basics, starting with a page.
Yeah.
That's not easy.
No, it's not.
It's very time consuming.
Yes.
Just like Zach said, yeah. So if it's a world you want to step into and you're kind of scared, because I mean, who wouldn't be? That's what we're here for. That's what we do, to kind of show you the ropes. Maybe it comes down to it to, eventually after a project or two, you don't need us anymore, and that's cool. But we helped you get there, so that's that makes us feel good.
But yeah, there's so much, like when we talk to new clients, we always set up an initial, like, what's called a discovery meeting, right? Where we say, what do you got? Tell us what you got. Let's hear about it. And then we talk to them about, what does it take to make a book? What does it take to build a Kickstarter page? What does the back end of all that look like? And honestly, it's very rare for that meeting to not go less than 2 hours, or it ends up about 2 hours, because there's so much that goes into these projects, as you know, Jeff. And even though we have found ways of making some of those complexities into something simple, that doesn't mean that it still doesn't take a ton of time. And it doesn't mean that there's any less things to do. There's a lot that goes into this.
Yeah, and the thing I was also thinking about too, it's like, so the first part is like coming up with a page that's logical, that's enticing, the stretch goals, that's another thing. But then what you also mentioned is like, doing the media circuit. Now, some people have contacted me in the past, and when I always think, I mean, it's been great, it's worked out, but I'm not necessarily really good at knowing who to go to, where to go. And I think having, for not just for myself, but other people, I could see where that's also very beneficial, is to have somebody kind of at least, maybe if you've got connections, to say, hey, here's a few podcasts to, that you can go on.
Yeah. Podcasts, there's people who have little reviews, or Discord servers that are open to you hyping on their page, or groups that are that way. There's a lot of things that way. There's also some larger companies that we have found ways of working with them to promote people's projects. And like, just finding all those avenues. And that's something that we are always, that's a big area, I think, for this year for us, is looking for more ways to make that side of it even better. Because if you can put in, what we're finding is if you can put in some work up front to develop that marketing base, to develop those contacts and reviewers and blogs and things, that's a huge help to all your projects from then on out. So
yeah, so then there's the Kickstarter itself, and there's also probably planning activities during that Kickstarter, right?
Yep.
I think we've kind of talked in the past as far as, you kind of want certain things going on so people don't lose interest. And I think you've talked before about about the ride.
Yeah, the ride.
The ride.
I was just talking to, it's funny you brought that up. I was just talking to a new client today, and and we're talking about his page. He started putting together a page, and I'm like, so you want your Kickstarter page to be like a ride? And I said like 2 other sentences, and you could just see his eyes light up, and he got it. He's like, oh, I understand now what I need to do with this page. He caught the video. I'm like, God, that's good.
Yeah, and I realized with the ZineQuest, so what I did is I had an idea for a bestiary I've been working on. And then and I thought, I kind of forgot, even though I knew ZineQuest was coming, I kind of forgot about it. And then I woke up, and then Phil Reed wrote a zine like, what's everybody doing? And then I read that like in the morning, and all of a sudden my head started going like, if I just get people to write articles in the next 3 weeks, I could just turn this into a zine instead of just being a bestiary. And I think it would be better off. And then here I am finding myself like in a mad scramble. But I also realized too, it's like, I didn't really prepare for this as far as doing anything in advance or, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's fun. Like I think that's the best part about our medium is that, or it's one of the great things about it is that there's all thresholds of ideas. Like when you make a book, a huge book, that's a developed idea, and it takes a set amount of time, or a certain amount of time at least. But when you're doing a zine, like there's all parameters. There's the person who got the harebrained idea, who got a wild hair,
Yes.
and like, I can do this, and they can do it, right? If you want to make a zine for ZineQuest, set aside a weekend to write and set aside a few evenings to design a page, and you can do a zine for ZineQuest, right?
Yes.
That's the coolness and the dangerousness about our hobby, right?
Yeah. The thing I have determined though is it's all got to be written by August 1st. I'm not going to speculate. So.
Oh, you're speaking my language. Yeah. That's one thing that we say when so you talked about requirements for our clients before. That's really our number one requirement for a client, is that we don't sign a contract, except in extremely rare conditions, unless 80% or more of the project is written. Because it's so hard once you get done with the Kickstarter. Several things happen, right? You lose all of that like anxiety and like, butterflies in the stomach that pushes you forward to make the thing, because you need to prove it, like, oh, it's already funded, or it's already whatever, it's done, right? But also it's exhausting to be at a computer for 2 weeks or 4 weeks and promoting your stuff and responding to backers and all that. And you get done with it, and you're like, I don't want to think about this book for at least 4 months. Like, as much as I love it, it's enough. So yeah, that's a good principle. 100% is excellent.
But I also started thinking, it's like, now I'm thinking, well, the next project I would really like to release in October. It's really not that far away.
Yeah.
So I don't have any problem thinking I can get to a certain point in October, but then I realized I've never really thought about stretch goals or anything along those lines either for that, and so it's like, you know, if you're just doing like one Kickstarter a year, it's not a big thing. If you're trying to do multiple ones, you really should be, you know, thinking ahead a little further.
There's a, yeah, that's a, I was going to say a bane, but I think hopefully we're navigating around it being a bane for us. But like, as soon as you launch one project, it kind of obligates you. It certainly obligates you for something for a period of time, right? And it obligates your Kickstarter page, right? Like, even if you said, hey, this book's going to deliver in January, your backers will only put up with so many projects that you launch in the meantime, right?
Right.
And so, you know, you kind of committed your profile, you've committed your Kickstarter persona to a thing for a period of time. And that's hard. It can be a hard thing to navigate. I know, like, he's a good buddy of mine, and no fault of his, so I'll name names here. But Levi Combs, you know, he had a project that he was raring to go with for months on Kickstarter. Like, he was itching, pull the trigger. But he couldn't find a printer for his previous books, right?
Yeah.
And that comes back to that, right? Like, it's literally something outside of his control. But, you know, kickstarting a thing obligates you to a fulfillment, right? And you want to do everything that you can to keep your backers happy and to meet their expectations, surpass their expectations. And sometimes that means that the timeline that you chose for this project means that this other project can't launch when you wanted it to. And, you know, that is what it is.
Yeah, I got a friend who successfully funded, and then after months, the artist never delivered. And so then he had to go to a new artist, but he didn't necessarily budget for that. And so it just threw him off like a long ways. It's like,
right.
So art is something, to me, it's like, unless you are very, very, very certain that a person can crank the stuff out, that is a huge risk there, not to have art in hand before you. I mean, even more than writing, because if a writer doesn't do it, you can write or get somebody
to write.
Do it.
Yeah.
But the artist point, that's like, that changes the whole look. I mean, it's just like,
yeah, that's that, you know, they talk about like the last 10% of a project is the hardest. I think with RPG stuff, it's like the last 35%, because you have art, which you aren't really perfectly in control of, and then you have layout, which a lot of us aren't perfectly in control of. Very few artists or writers are also great layout people. And then you have printing, which you're definitely not in control of. And then you have the world of shipping and fulfillment, which, as Troy could tell you over the last week, like, you're like, no, like, those things are a Hail Mary every time they happen, right? So yeah, it's you can feel really, really good about the state of your project, and then that last third hits and you're like, oh no. where did all my like worked ahead time go? Where did all my leeway or comfort zone months go? They disappear really fast.
Yeah, my goal is to have, it's probably not going to work this time, but to at least have a proof copy in hand, either before the Kickstarter. It's not going to happen this time, but I will have everything pretty much laid out and a physical copy printed on my printer. It'll be to that point, but not for what I was going to say. But anyway, it definitely takes a lot of, once you take that out, takes away a lot of that stress, because you're right. It's just all those variables. I was going somewhere. Don't remember. Oh, well, maybe I'll think about it later. So I guess the question is, so let's say I'm coming to you theoretically, but this is actually for real.
I know this guy who wants to launch a Kickstarter in October.
So I want to launch a Kickstarter. So like I said, I want some consulting. I guess we're going to do consulting first. So is there an upfront fee for consulting? How does that work?
So let's just talk about just a standard consulting. So what you'll do is you'll reach out to Troy or I. You can reach out to us on Facebook or with your email or whatever. And depending on what you're after, you'll either talk probably to me or Troy. And that first meeting is 100% free. We're not going to charge you to chat for an hour or two. And we're going to see what's the scope of all this and what do you really need. And then we don't have like a we found that it wasn't conducive to have like a set cost or a set fee for everything, because every project is unique. Every creator needs a specific set of things. And so what we like to do is we take that first meeting to evaluate what you got and what you need from us. And then typically what we say is we'll take on a consulting role here for one of two ways. A royalty split. So if the Kickstarter is successful, we're going to take X percentage of it. So there's no upfront cost to you, but you we all share in the success. And then with other people, if you're more confident in your project or you're a bigger company, then we would work out something like, a fee at the beginning and more or less royalties on the back end.
So it's really not much different than, like say with Kickstarter or with BackerKit, where you're just saying for these services, this is the fee for this.
Yeah.
And the fee could just be the percentage rather than a flat fee.
Yeah. So I'll give you an example, I won't maybe get into all of it, but let's just say that for a certain project that we're helping with consulting and doing some designing and marketing and things, we say, hey, we want 25% of the back end. And then it's up to us to help you get your project to what it needs to be successful.
So when you say back end, what do you mean by back end? So back end means what?
The money that comes to you after Kickstarter takes their fees.
Okay, so the back end is after Kickstarter takes their fees, but this is also, so then you're a person doing this would also need to figure in the printing fees and all that stuff. So okay.
Exactly, and we could help with that. But basically, what we encourage people to do is, if you want to work with us, then build in our fee into your Kickstarter ask, right? Like, we shouldn't be something that's taking out of your pocket. We should be earning our own keep, so to speak. So if you need $1,000 to fund and we're asking for 25%, maybe this time you ask 1,300 or 1,400 just to make sure, right? And we're going to prove that we can, if we're taking your project on, we're going to help you get that extra funding to make us valuable to you. And that's typically how it goes. Like, it's that upfront. We have a tiny little contract. I say tiny, I feel like it's tiny little contract that we sign that says, you're going to get the money, Jeff. It's going to hit your bank account from Kickstarter. Once that happens, you're going to kick us over our fee. And if your Kickstarter doesn't succeed, that's on us just as much as it's on you. So most of the time with the contracts, we don't make anything either, right? We want to take the risk right alongside our clients. So,
I'm realizing something. I feel like we kind of sound a lot like those injury lawyers on TV. Those commercials. We don't make a fee unless you make a recovery. That kind of. But yeah, it's that same thing. It's
and you kind of look like one of those lawyers.
Well, thanks. I feel like I absolutely do not. But okay.
I kind of get some injury lawyer, used car salesman bias. Yeah, I can see that.
Okay.
In another life, yeah.
In another life, maybe. Yeah. Maybe like a Southern lawyer with the Colonel Sanders bow tie thing going on. Maybe. But yeah, it's a risky proposition. A Kickstarter is a risky proposition on a number of different levels. You're putting a lot of effort into something. You're putting your heart and soul into something.
You're putting your name on something.
You're putting your name on something, and the least of the bad things that can happen is it doesn't fund, right? Yeah. But then there comes that I wasn't good enough, and nobody wants to feel that way. So there is risk involved with a Kickstarter, and like Zach said, we want to be there with you, taking that risk to kind of, hey, not everybody's going to succeed on the first time. We just had a project recently that we pulled the plug on, 2 days after it started.
Yeah,
One
we
day?
launched it. It didn't go the way we wanted to in those first couple days, and so we pulled the plug. Yeah.
So not everybody's perfect. And the cool thing about that is, if that happens, we're right there with you. And it's like, okay, let's figure out why we pulled that plug. Let's work together so that way we can relaunch bigger and better. Because if you've been a Kickstarter backer, maybe not quite as bad as what Zach and I are, but you've probably seen creators that, here's a project that didn't get funded. Here's a project that got canceled. And it's the same title like 3 or 4 times in their history. And then they launch that last time and it goes gangbusters because they finally figured it out. So that's kind of, it's not the end of the world. It feels like it is. It feels like a kick in the teeth. It's not. It's just a learning experience.
One of my favorite stories from this is one of my buddies was doing a Kickstarter last year, his first Kickstarter. And on launch day, he called me, I called him, and I'm like, "Hey, Betty, hey man, how you doing? You doing all right?" And he's like, "I'm laying on the floor on my stomach. It hurts so bad." He's like, "I'm so nervous. There's so much pain." And I'm like, "You'll get over it." I'm like, "You're funded. Like, it's good. You should be celebrating." He's like, "Oh, this is the worst." He's like, "This is the worst I've felt in a long time." It just.
Yeah, I mean, it was better for me the second time, but it still wasn't fun. It's like,
but you did it again.
I know. I'm kind of committed.
And,
so
yeah.
I don't know what's wrong with me. It's like you just think I can just go work at Menards on the weekends and make more money. It's just like
That's something I don't know, Troy. I feel like we say that just like at least once a week. We're like, we could all work at Walmart and make more money than that.
Right? Yeah, we could.
So the question: so is that fees? Is that like what does that cover for that 25%? Is that like beginning to end, or is it fulfillment?
Yeah.
Separate?
So that 25 is a number that we're using as an example. Of course, it could be a different number than that, but basically, let's just say that it's probably it probably entails something like you have a project that's written and you have a few art pieces for it. And what you need our help with is building a Kickstarter page, designing it, budgeting the goals and the rewards and all that, and making sure that it all makes sense, figuring out stretch goals and how to not drown your project in stretch goal obligations, getting that pre-launch page ready, working with our marketing department to hype your project so that it's successful in those early days, being with you throughout the entire live Kickstarter process to help you with updates, respond to comments, update the graphics on the page, this, that, and the other, put you in contact with, podcasters and reviewers and things who are seeing your page and want to chat. And then on the back end, depending on what you need from us, maybe we're helping with hooking you up with a printer. Maybe we're helping you get your project on drive-through or setting up the print on demand options.
Right.
Maybe we're sending stuff to Troy. He's got our warehouse, and you're sending a bunch of stuff to him, and he's handling getting all the packaging and all the stamps and everything and kicking it out. So that 25% fee or that fee could cover a lot of things. I will say that on the fulfillment side, one thing that we encourage and we point people to is collecting that shipping money later, right?
Yes.
It's a scary proposition to collect your shipping fees during the Kickstarter because we don't know what shipping costs are going to look like in 3 months or 6 months. And the reality is that a stamp might cost $2.60 today and $3 tomorrow. Actually, that did just happen. And 40 cents times however many people can end up being quite a bit.
Yeah.
As one example. So we typically that 25% isn't, we pay for shipping out of that. It is
Right.
We will help you collect the shipping costs, but we will fulfill the shipping alongside you. Yeah.
So is it 25% of Kickstarter? Is it just the 25% of the total amount as far as the shipping and the product, or is it just the product sales portion?
Typically it's just the product sales.
Okay,
Like
so-
shipping is its own cost, right? We don't want to,
Yes.
we don't,
Okay.
it makes no sense for you to charge $4 for shipping and then us to say, well, we get $250 or 25% of that. That all needs to go to shipping, right? So,
Yeah. No, needs to go shipping.
Yep.
So what you're saying is then what happens is at the end of it all, there's also the possibility too of storing material, right? Fulfillment for later, and that would be separate. And I mean, as far as Kickstarter funds, everything's shipped out. Then there's the leftover books, and what happens after that?
Right. So we have a lot of things that
Well,
can happen there. Yeah, go ahead, Troy.
I was just gonna say, yeah, we could put it on our web store. We could sell it that way. We go to several conventions throughout the year. We can take your product, put it in our booth, sell it for you there. So
we've got backer kit. We have tons of projects that we're setting up backer kits for throughout the year, and we'll put your project on there. We've got, as an example, we're getting ready to do another Morkborg thing, or we're looking at it, right? And if we have your Morkborg books at our warehouse, it's a super easy thing to say, hey, if you want Jeff's Morkborg book, you can buy it as an add-on during our Kickstarter. Right?
Oh, that's a sweet deal.
Yeah. Right, exactly. And so there's a lot of ways that we can help get your product out there. We're building a relationship with a bunch of retailers throughout the country. So hopefully later this year, we're going to be able to put everybody's books in quite a few retail stores is the goal. We're working with some distributors other than ourselves to where we can kind of help you. Not only are you sending us some extra books, but we're helping you connect with people like Exalted Funeral and places like that to say, yeah, you're going to send us extra books, but you also need to send Exalted Funeral $100 because they want those, and this place wants some, and that place wants some, and hopefully we can help coordinate all that. So instead of you having to go out and do all this work to find those people that want to put your books on their virtual or brick and mortar shelves, we can already just source that for you.
Oh, that makes sense. But that's also a service that could, obviously could be offered outside of the Kickstarter. So somebody says, I got a, I don't want to say basement, because that sounds like you got a bunch of moldy books, but you may say I have a closet, I have a room full of books I need to get rid of, or at least.
Are you looking in my house, Jeff? Is that what's going on?
Yeah, nothing like the smell of damp books, but yeah, there's an old schoolhouse where we used to live, ran by these really old ladies. It was an old church, and all these books were, it just full of these used books, just crammed full, and it just all had that same kind of old smell, no matter what it was.
Yes. Musk.
And there's a one-armed woman.
Yeah.
She would price books based on, I think, digestion. It's like I could never figure out the pricing scheme.
Yes, digestion and the lunar calendar. That's how we know what's going on. Yeah.
Doesn't everybody do it that way?
I think so. I know that's how I do it. What I'll say there, Jeff. One thing that I would note is that we do get inquiries, and we like getting inquiries with regularity about, hey, I've got extra books. I would love for you guys to take them with you to cons or whatnot. And we're very interested in talking to folks about that. If that's you, if you're listening, come yell at us. But I will say though that part of what happens during consultation and working together on a Kickstarter is that we develop a good relationship, right? And you get to know us, and we get to know you, and that allows us to allows us to have a certain level of trust that then makes things really easy when we move to the long-term distribution phase. It's really great the clients we have now, where you say, hey, we're going to this con, and we're gonna do a bundle deal, or we're gonna do an X, or we're gonna do a discount on all zines, buy 2 get 1 free on zines, or whatever, right? And because our clients are so great, and because we've built up that trust over a Kickstarter process, that makes life easy, and it lets us find unique ways of selling their product. It has been in the past a lot harder when they're just coming to you and saying, here's 50 bucks, sell them, to feel like you have the freedom to sometimes make some of the calls that would benefit that project in the long run. So I think it's more typical that we stock and distribute books that we helped kickstart than that we would pick up a book otherwise.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it puts our skin in the game too. You know, we had, you know, we might not have created it, might not have gotten any art for it or anything like that, but we helped get it across the finish line. So we want to see it be successful too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah, and that makes sense. And it's, I think you're maybe synergy's an overworked word, but it seems like you over time you're trying to build everything up to become more of a synergistic in your approach to all of this, where it's not just I'm just warehousing books and drop shipping.
yeah,
service.
exactly.
Yeah. We want, like, that's the juice, right? Like, the reason we're all in this hobby is because we love creating things and we love working with creative people. Troy doesn't run a warehouse because he loves warehousing and stamping things, right? So yeah, we're looking for ways of making sure that stays the priority, right? That having fun and getting to work with fun stuff and getting to talk to creative people is something that we never lose and we get to do on a daily basis. That's the goal.
Yeah, it sounds good. I need to go throw some formulas in my spreadsheet and start doing some calculations.
Oh, yes. Spreadsheets.
Well, I would love to. I mean, listen, we can take this offline, but I would love to work with you, Jeff. That sounds really fun. So,
yeah, I've got. Who knows how this is going to go? I have all these. You know, we all have these. Well, you guys are doing a better job than I am, but have these ideas and trying to get them actually to fruition is not always easy. But ideally, I would like to, if I could, be putting out about 5 or 6 publications a year. Not sure it's ever going to happen.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of like the thing. That's the end goal for us, really. Part of it is the big umbrella philosophy for WOGD is creators create. And if we can take something off your plate so it leaves more room for you to create something new, that's awesome. Because not only do we get to help with that, but then we get to see it afterwards, just like everybody else. We become fans of the people that we work with.
Right.
It's like, I'll use Joel Hines. I have a warehouse full of his stuff, and I'll back his next Kickstarter. Still, why? Because I'm a fan of Joel's stuff.
You're stuffing books and you're flipping it open.
Yeah.
Like, well, that page is cool.
Yeah.
You stick it back there.
What's the rules about dealing drugs? You don't do them.
Yeah, you don't
listen.
Don't take out your own stash.
Keep away from me with your reason, Jeff. It's it has no place here.
Yeah.
Your logic holds no power.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm happily addicted. Thank you very much, and I thank you to stay out of my affairs.
The cool thing is, when we chase the dragon, sometimes in those books there is a dragon.
That's right.
Yes. You're bringing it all around.
Bring it all around. Or maybe it's this way. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll have to schedule some time and discuss, because I have 2 projects, one imminent and the other one not far from imminent. And
awesome.
See what your thoughts are on those.
Awesome.
Cool.
Yeah, I guess I would say for anybody that's listening to the show, like right now, we don't have ads out there. We're not running stuff saying, hey, come be our client. Troy posted once this year and once last year. Yeah. And it gave us what we were after. And really, there's a reason for that, and that is that we are still learning. We're still working out the kinks. We're still finding where we can best help people, but also because we want to have the time to pick the projects that we like. We want to work with people and not feel like you're just one more piece of the WOGD pie. And by not just pushing, we kind of have this I hope it feels like a laid back approach. And I hope that if Jeff, if you or somebody else reaches out to us after this and wants to talk, that you find that we are more than available. We want to chat with you, and we want you to feel like we want you to feel the excitement that we have for your project. And we want hopefully for you to feel like we're going to do everything in our power to bring it over the finish line. So
Yeah, and I'm hoping too, with doing a series of things, that things will build, and that's kind of key, rather than me just throwing one thing out. It's just different every time. It's just, there's hard to. You may get some people kind of following, but it's kind of be nice. My goal is to try to build up some stuff that's actually, will build on itself, and people would want to go back and get previous works as well.
Yes.
So we'll see. We'll see. It's a grand scheme. I don't know if it's going to work out. We'll see. So anyway, so next topic.
Yeah.
Zine Meetup at GenCon and Gamehole.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So don't, if you're listening to this tomorrow, don't go looking, don't go chasing rainbows. It's not out there yet, but we're working with GenCon and Gamehole Con to set up a zine meetup, a zine swap, a zine social, even on both of those grounds. And we at Wogby want to sponsor it by putting it all together, but also we'll have some maybe dinner and maybe some drinks and things like that. Maybe we'll wrap it all in a seminar beforehand or something, just to kind of give it an official sounding title and an official reason for you to be there. But really what we're after is we want to hang out and get to know other creators and fans in the community. And I gotta believe that there's more than just Jeff and I showing up to Gamehole Con that want to talk zines. So
you know what this is? I feel like Will Ferrell. This is the Catalina zine mixer.
all right. I'd buy that. Yeah. I buy
there it is. There it is.
Was that the name for it? The Catalina.
That's
zine
the name.
Yeah.
The Catalina zine mixer. Yeah.
Listen, so let it be written, so let it be done. That'd be awesome. Yeah, that's what. So we're putting together. Look forward in their systems, hopefully in the next week or so, and we'll be posting about it in the Facebook group and things like that. But yeah, there's nothing. You're not going to come and listen to a sales pitch or anything like that. You're just going to come and hang out with people who are super excited about projects. And I think maybe we'll have some giveaway stuff there. I think that'd be fun too. We've got a lot of zines, and I think we could hook some people up if they show up. So
yeah, I was thinking about too. It's like if you even had figure out a way of at least for Gamehole, maybe not necessarily flyers, but some sort of handouts. So I could hand out to people as they go too.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, Troy and I, sometimes, like I said, we get wild hairs, and this is definitely a wild hair. But the reality is that what I told him was, when I go to these cons, the number one thing that I want to do is get to have conversations with people about things that I'm really excited about. And one of my absolute favorite things in that genre, one of the subgenres, is you made something and I don't know about it. I want to hear about it. Right. And so I would love to have a whole weekend that was just getting to talk to, zine creators and zine enthusiasts, but I'll take a couple hours on a Friday night.
Yeah. And I think, cause I kind of tried these for the ZineQuest. It just I think it was last minute, and I don't know that it was, there's probably better ways of, like, you're gonna have people come into your booth. So I mean, and I'll be visiting people, say, hey, I think that makes it a little bit more conducive to doing something rather than just something kind of thrown on Facebook and a little placard or a signage thrown up on a table in the dark. it's like,
well, I'll say that, like, I remember last year going to Gamehole Con and seeing your signage thrown up in the dark,
Yeah.
and that signage thrown up in the dark ended up being my favorite moment of the con. So
Oh, really?
yeah, I had so much fun, and I left there being like, that was amazing. So I just want to do that again, even if it's just Jeff and I sitting in the dark. I'm going to be happy.
I will say that I was so supercharged driving home on Sunday morning. The only way I could concentrate on driving is I had to turn on Glenn Miller. My head was spooling. It's like Glenn Miller got me through it. That was so if you ever find yourself in need of getting your thoughts together, any sort of Glenn Miller bands, whether it's his quartets or whatever, it's just
That's amazing.
We'll create you should now have like a Glenn Miller Spotify playlist presented by RPG Ramblings.
Oh, there you go.
There you go.
For when those ramblings need to shut down for a little while.
Or it's also sometimes if you have Apple Music, you can get all sorts of crazy stuff. A female mariachi bands. Those are kind of fun too.
Ooh.
Yeah. Because you can't understand the lyrics. So it's just kind of the music and the words or the sounds is also kind of fun too.
Hook me up with a link.
I feel like that would just make me hungry for Mexican food.
Listen, stopping
hook me up with a link.
I'd be stopping all the time. It's like, man, it took you like 8 hours to get home. Where were you?
Well, let me tell you.
Do not go in that car. I may have made a slight error, honey. It'll be okay.
Mistakes were made.
I'm sure a good steam cleaning will take care of it. I swear there are no dead bodies in there.
Anyway. I kind of wish there was.
Yeah. Yeah, so that sounds like a lot of fun. And what was kind of hard too is the people from I'm losing it, the union, the Independent Publishers Union.
Yep.
So they're all times tied their tables all the way through the night. So I don't know if there's a way of getting them pride free, like Trevor Stamper or Levi Combs or so forth. It'd be fun too. So anyway, you're going to have details, and then I think once we get that nailed down a little bit more, at least I'll definitely be there for Gamehole Con. I'll also announce when it's going to be.
Well, if we can tie it to a seminar, we're going to have Jeff, and we're going to have you host that panel and be our guru. So.
The guru of nonsense.
Somebody's got to do it.
Somebody's got to do it. As long as I'm not editing any of the sound afterwards or any of the audio.
That's right. We don't record these for a reason.
That's right.
20 people hearing this is enough.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man.
Well, it's exciting. So, and I also say I've really enjoyed your guys' podcast.
Thank you.
Geeks Cant.
Geeks Cant.
Yeah. That's right.
We can, but we can't.
That's right.
Yeah, so that's been quite fun. So, how long have you been doing the podcast?
Well, we started at the beginning of COVID with this podcast, and I had one before that. So I think I'm pushing like 4 years of podcasting, and I think we're pushing like a stupid amount of episodes now.
I have a backlog that I have to get released too.
Yeah, we record 2 episodes every week, pretty much. We record on Sundays and Tuesdays over on Twitch, and so there's Troy has a backlog of things he has to burn through. We do a ton of, as you know, Jeff, we do a ton of creator interviews. If you're a creator and you're listening to this podcast, reach out to Jeff, but then reach out to us because we'd love to chat with you.
Yeah, and ZineQuest coming up this year. It's in August.
It is
usually in February, but the past 2 years we've done a barrage of creator interviews for ZineQuest.
Yep.
Yeah, I was on
the
for
first
one
year
they
we did,
never
like, 13.
released.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think it's because there's one
Right.
coming out in October, so I'm planning. This is back on
Ooh,
track.
Nice.
Well, that you get all sorts of great nuggets and little Easter eggs if you listen to the show. You're you're not the only project. There's been plenty that's like, where did that one go? Oh, it got
Yeah.
renamed, or it got delayed, or it got
Yep.
whatever. And it's
Yep.
like, oh, okay, cool. But it's like we try with those interviews. It's less about the content, though content is a big part of it, and the sales pitch or the whatever. But it's really just about like, I want to get to know the people who write the stuff that I'm going to buy. And so that's what we try to do is we
Well,
try
but
to
you guys
spend
did a
30 minutes.
marathon. This wasn't just a on some interview. I mean, you guys, it was like 3 or 4 days in a row, and it was just like everybody got time slots, and it was quite a.
We did like what 25 or something like that.
I think
25
so.
different interviews
Yeah.
last year during those few days, and it
Yeah.
was so much fun.
Our first year was 13 in one day.
Yeah, 13 in one day. Yeah, it's back to back to back.
Yep.
I think Gen Con unfortunately falls right at the beginning of ZineQuest this year, so we won't get to do it the way we want to do it there. But yeah, we do a bunch of that, and then the other episodes that we do for the most part are just Troy and I and our Yahoo buddy John talking about topics that came up at our gaming tables, and you just get to hear us shoot the shit and talk about RPG news and projects that we backed and
Movies that we watched.
movies that we watched. Yeah.
Yes, and the ones that you love. So, and in fact, that was probably one of my favorite episodes. Was the I think you did a handful of the movies that you went through, including was it the Friday that I want to give it is it Halloween?
Oh yeah, Halloween
Kills.
Halloween Kills, No Time to Die,
Dune.
and Dune. That's
Yeah.
right.
I think
Yeah.
Dune. I purposely didn't listen. I didn't see it yet, so I tried not to do that. So, but I don't recall. You say backlog because I don't recall having episodes for a while. Am I not?
Yeah, no, you that is true. That is all part of the fulfillment tailspin that I have been in for the past several weeks.
Casualty.
It has been a casualty. That's why I say that there is a backlog that hopefully after tomorrow morning, I will now be able to sit down and begin to Frankenstein those episodes back together again and get them released. And yeah, there's going to be quite a deluge once it starts. So.
And Jeff, I would encourage you, if you enjoyed that episode, we're launching as of yesterday. No, as of today, last night.
Yes.
We launched the next. It's called what do we call it? Like the something movie marathon. I don't know, whatever it is. Catalina Country Club Marathon.
Movie mixer.
No, we're basically doing a thing with our Discord server and with our podcast where we're going to take a subgenre of movies and we're going to watch a bunch of them as a community, and then we're going to record a podcast about a handful of them. And this month, the topic, the genre is weird sci-fi. So we've got a list of 9 weird sci-fi movies, 3 to talk about on the show, and then 6 to talk about in Discord that we're going to work through and have fun with.
So what are they? Have you published those yet?
I do have those.
Yeah, I got the list right here.
Okay.
Yeah, the three to be discussed on the podcast: 2010, the year we make contact, from 1984; Moon from 2009.
Oh, I love that movie. Love.
Yes.
Love.
Yeah. After my own heart.
Somehow it has escaped me. I remember seeing like the trailers for it, and I never watched it. And
I hate the very ending. If you could just clip the very ending, it'd be fine. But it just. But no, Sam Rockwell. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh, he's amazing.
National.
And the national treasure. The third one for the discussion is the Zero Theorem.
That is a Christoph Waltz movie by it's by Terry Gilliam.
Yep.
Okay.
So you know what you're getting with the Terry Gilliam film.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Yeah. The ones that we'll just discuss on I kind of have a feeling that we'll probably
probably talk about some of these. Yeah.
The runners up are Annihilation, Colorado Space.
Yeah, that was an amazing one.
That was a weird one. That was trippy.
Well, okay, I'm gonna say something. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Somebody actually said it's like a metaphor for cancer.
Yeah, I've read
Oh,
some of that. It's an interesting way to look at that movie. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
That puts a different spin on things. Dark City, which is awesome.
Color Out of
Yeah,
Space. You said that one, right?
Color Out of Space.
Which is a
I've not seen that one. The one new with Nicolas Cage.
Yes.
That's the Nicolas Cage one. H.P. Lovecraft.
H.P. Lovecraft. Yeah.
Weird.
So wait, so where would, I guess, DVD, because that's not out on anything, is it streaming?
Well, so hang tight here.
Because like now I don't know where to get movies if it's not on.
That's right. That's right.
Right. Yeah. How does this work?
So Color of Space you can watch on you can rent it off of Amazon Prime
Okay.
for $2. So
Oh, what a deal.
yeah.
Okay.
Who doesn't want a video to watch a movie starring Nicolas Cage that has a 6.1 on the IMDb? Like of value at any price, but certainly at $2. So yeah.
Okay, so what's next?
The next is the last three are the
horror
kick you in the
bent.
teeth kind. Yeah, the horror bent. The classic Event Horizon.
I've not seen that. I know I need to see it. I keep wanting to
Yeah.
watch it. I know that
Man.
like for Coriolis, that would be a great movie to watch to get primed for that game.
Yeah.
Very disturbing. And then Pandorum
I haven't seen that one.
and I have not either. So
Pandorum stars Dennis Quaid and Ben Foster, and it is not a good movie, I don't think. But it is a really fun movie.
but it somehow made the list.
Well, because that's the thing, right? It's like this is not a list of good movies, and if you think it should be, you're wrong. This is a list of movies that we want to talk about and that we think will garner conversation. And so there's some bad movies in there, there's some great movies in there, and there's some movies in there that none of us have seen, and we're gonna find out together. So,
That's right. That's right.
So which ones has nobody seen?
Color Out of Space.
Color Out of Space.
I don't think anybody's seen. I don't think any of our crew. You can tell me, Troy, but I don't think any of our crew has seen 2010.
I have.
You've seen it. Okay,
Oh,
good,
yeah.
good.
Yeah, I haven't seen
But
that one.
and then you. I'm trying to think. A couple of you hadn't seen Pandorum. I think you and John hadn't seen
Right.
Pandorum.
Right.
So yeah, we kind of did a wide range of those. And I haven't seen the prequel, The Thing, which is the last movie on our list.
Oh, so
Yeah.
good. It was just on like FX or something the other day. I
Yeah.
watched it.
So
Yeah.
so if you go to YouTube, there are some claymations scenes. There's Pengu, The Thing, and then there's
Ooh.
one where they do a claymation with the people from Frozen, and they reenact the
Whoa.
scene, but they put their voices, so they have them tied to the chair. You remember the tied to the chairs?
Yes.
They're the characters from Frozen, but they use the voices from the movie.
That's hilarious. Oh my gosh.
Well, I know I'm
Oh.
doing it after this podcast.
Yeah, it's called the
Oh
penguin
my
one's
gosh.
called Thengu. It's a penguin's.
Thank you.
Yeah, so
Ooh.
it's like the whole movie done in claymation in like 3 minutes with
Yep.
penguins.
Yeah, my YouTube browsing history just got a whole lot weirder. Good job,
Uh-huh.
yeah. Pingu. All
Yeah.
right. I'm just gonna put that down.
It'd be
for now, otherwise-
Thengu is what you search for. Thingu.
Okay. There it is. All right, cool. Awesome. Sign me up. Yeah, so that's it. So the whole list is on our Discord, and it'll probably be after Gen Con when we get around to talking about them. So you probably have a month or more to watch them, but definitely watch the first three, 2010, Moon, and Zero Theorem. And that way you kind of are prepped for the podcast. And then the others are just fun extras if you have time. So I already started Pandorum today because I love that movie, even though it's trash. I couldn't stop myself. So
I need to watch Moon again too, because it's
Yeah.
just and the thing is though, it Troy, it's just like it can be, I'm sure it bears rewatching, but boy, it is really such a trip watching it the first time.
Yeah. Okay. I'm good.
I'm excited
I
for
wanna
you.
check it out.
Yes. Don't watch any trailers either. Just go into
Oh
it
no,
cold.
no. Just jump right in.
Yeah, exactly. That's cool. So anything else you guys want to talk about?
my gosh, I could talk about stuff all evening, but I feel like we covered a gambit today. Yeah. I guess I would say, hey, if you want to see some of our words in action, you can head over to our Facebook page, the World of Game Design Facebook page, or just to our Discord and talk to some of the clients, see some of the projects that we're hyping over there, because we've got a lot of clients that are gearing up for ZineQuest, and we're helping them make their stuff look amazing. So love for you to check their stuff out and tell us what you think.
Yeah, or just hang out and chat and talk
Yeah.
about goofy stuff.
Yeah, I will say your Discord. I just don't have. I hate to say I don't have time, because everybody's got time, but it's
real.
just,
yeah.
But you have one of the most active and probably positive communities going on that Discord. So
Oh, that makes me feel good.
yeah, I just
We
wish
like-
I just wish I had time to put towards that. I wish I had more time. So, but
Well, and that's an interesting. I guess we can talk about that for a minute. That I think that was intentional on our part, and so it's definitely not going to be something that everybody can have time for. But I think Troy and I and John sat down and we said we want to create a space that allows us to talk about the things that we like to talk about, but also it's just a really upbeat, positive, like take a break from whatever your day is at the moment and come talk about movies, come talk about games, come talk about TV shows, and just chill out for a bit. And I think it's actually became that. It's something that I really enjoy managing. I don't really have to manage it at all, the truth be told. It kind of manages itself because it's all great people. But yeah, it's been a great thing to come out of this whole pandemic. So
Yes, indeed.
also just send me all your links. Normally I look it up, but you guys have so much going on, and I'm sure to miss something. So
We'll probably miss it too.
Yeah, I understand. And anyway, well, thank you, gentlemen, and we'll have to talk again, and definitely we'll be seeing you. I guess, did you say you're going to Gamehole, Troy?
We are.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I couldn't tell for certain you
stuff.
were. Okay, but you've not been there before.
Yeah.
Have you been?
I've not been. Yeah, this will be my first time. I was not able to go last year, but really wanted to.
Don't tell anyone, but I think it's my favorite con. So it's a really good one.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
ready.
definitely. That is the high point. In fact, I think even though we had to wear masks, I'm not anti-mask, but I just was going there and
They're
dealing
just
with
not
masks.
fun.
Yeah, exactly. It was definitely a high point of a COVID, coming out of the COVID, and very much needed, I think.
Yeah.
Yes.
So anyway, thanks, gentlemen. Links below, and also for those watching video, there's an audio podcast too. So most of the people actually listen to the audio, but it's weird.
The cool people watch the video.
Well, I don't know if you
Is that the way
guys.
it works?
Here's why. Maybe you guys have the same situation. So I just started posting these on YouTube.
Mhm.
I really don't do much, anything special. But the audio podcast is pretty consistent. I may go up and down a little bit on the number of listens, but not widely. But the YouTube, my goodness, it can go crazy high to just barely move the needle. Do you find the same thing with your?
Yep. We have a weird thing because we don't put all of our recordings on YouTube, but we do put a lot of them, and then we make some content specifically for YouTube. And some things I'm like, man, that is hot stuff. That's gonna go great. And it's like, oh, that got like 5 views, cool. And then someone's like, oh, put this up, and oh, 1,000 views, awesome. That's a nice feeling. But I will say that we've been doing a podcast of some sort now for about 4 years, and we've been doing a YouTube channel for about 6 months, and the YouTube channel has twice the listening audience, twice the viewing audience as the podcast. So
but what's hard to know is how much. I know they have metrics, and I haven't made going to read, but a lot of people, I have a feeling that most people watching the video don't watch very far, as opposed to I imagine people listen to the audio probably listen to the whole thing.
That is a good point. Yeah, your true fans are on your podcast. That's yeah, where true fans are made. No, that's a good point. I would say that on our side of things, the people who are like our hardcore, what's the right word, Troy? Constituents.
Oh,
Yeah,
Yeah.
constituents.
here's my constituency.
That's right. They pop into our Twitch live stream, and then they go listen to the podcast maybe. But they definitely, a lot of them go chat with us live, and then the next most hardcore group are on the podcast, and then the casual folks. And they're all awesome, but the most casual folks are the people who wait and watch on YouTube.
Yeah, and I don't know what drives. I mean, and I've also, I found interesting is like I had Jeff Richardson from Chaos. So hit that YouTube like went up to, got like 600 views. It was huge for me. So
awesome.
Barely moved the needle on the audio. It's like, that's interesting. Like that entire audience is almost exclusively Facebook. Not Facebook, but YouTube.
YouTube.
So the people on the Facebook group are almost exclusively using YouTube. Like, what is the demographic there that would? I just find
that is an interesting conversation, Jeff. That probably takes a whole nother episode. But like, what are the crossovers between different demographics, and how can we as creators use one group and appeal to that group to go support another group or something? I don't know.
Or what makes a topic or a guest or a subject
more of a YouTube topic,
more YouTubey than podcasty.
And what's also interesting too is based on listens and watches in different people and different products. It's kind of led to me some conclusions that it's like, I don't know that I have the energy and the direction to go all these places, but it's like, you can tell there's certain markets that are definitely hungry for content more so than others.
Yeah, that's one thing that I'll say that we've definitely noticed is if you do a recording or have a guest or have a topic that is related to a specific subgroup of our community, that subgroup and appealing to them is more likely to boost your traffic than anything else. And I'll give you the best example that we have is we did a video for Morkborg, a how to play video. And I posted it twice. That was it. Just posted in the Facebook group twice. And people took it and ran with it. And I didn't have to do anything. And that video got 17,000 views, right? Like it was stupid. It's not anything I did, right? It's not like, oh, well, I made a great video. It's just like, no, I made a video for a subculture that didn't get catered to on YouTube much, right? And they appreciated it and they did the legwork. And then with another one, yeah, go ahead.
Because you also made a how-to video for a book that for some people appears to be unreadable.
Yeah. So I did a how-to video for Workboard. Yeah, and people actually need that how-to video.
Exactly.
Yes. So that's the key. I think that for that one, that was huge. Yeah, you have the hardcore Workboard community that will support anything Workboard, which is awesome. But then you've got those people that are like, "What's Morkborg? I've never heard of Morkborg."
Then they open the book and they're like, "Yeah."
I still don't know what it is.
And they still say, "What's Morkborg?"
Yeah. Then the other thing that I would say there that was a big eye opener for us is when we released our Dune series, our How to Play Dune by Modifius, because what we realized, lo and behold, Modifius prowls YouTube. And they check for things that are tied to their products and they share them when they find them. So, not every company does that, but they're great in that way. And so, we ended up cranking out 4 different Dune videos because anything that we did, Modifius would promote without us asking, right? Just like, we're going to hook you guys up. And so, yeah, I think it's a really weird, like, you don't always know who's watching. I got a really nice message from from the creator of Deadhalt, Troy, this week.
Oh yeah.
He said, I won't say what he said. You can go look on YouTube if you want to know what he said. But really nice comment with regards to it. I'm like, well, that made my whole week. That he found it and loved what we had to say about it. And I'll make another video for him now. Absolutely.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what I will say is, and not to put this on you, Troy, but I don't watch YouTube, but those videos, I would love to hear the audio too, like the Dune and the
Oh, yeah.
Morkborg.
Yeah, I'll send it all over to you tonight.
Oh.
Trent. Just get it done.
No, you mean the how-tos?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. No, so listen, here's the
Okay.
beauty of those, Troy. So listen, Jeff, you might have just done a thing, because I've already edited
Thanks,
all the
Jeff.
audios for those. All the audio's already been edited.
Yeah.
It's already an MP3. All you would have to do is put a bumper on both ends and it's done. So
Oh, sweet. And I have a whole back, I have like files of potential cold open stuff too.
Yeah.
Just waiting.
Just wait. Yeah, and the thing is, like with the Morkborg, I may have a little interest in buying it, not really, but I really don't really have interest in probably in playing it. But I sure am interested in listening to people talk about it, and I don't really hear that very much.
yeah, that'd be all right. Well, maybe we'll add to the bucket.
Sure.
Well, those could be rainy day files, right? You know, things are going
yeah.
great. You're like running behind. It's like, yeah, I'll drop another one of these in.
Absolutely. And really, we're working on right now, a big project for us is we're working on doing the opposite too, which is we have a lot of stuff that was a podcast before we were doing live streams. And so we're taking that audio and putting like slideshows of graphics and things that pertain to what we're talking to. And we're getting ready to launch a couple series like that on YouTube for the folks who maybe haven't been with us for the full 2 years to experience some of that. So,
well, I've also noticed is there's been people. The reason I started putting stuff on YouTube, somebody asked, I don't know, I come to find out that I can process it pretty quickly. Like my method's much simpler than yours, but you know, I can do the Zoom, I can open up iMovie, drop it in. While it's cranking that, I can open up GarageBand and start doing that. Then when I export one file to an MP3, it takes a long time. Then I can go back working on I mean, so I can go back and forth between those and have both of them done within an hour. So it doesn't really add much more time doing that.
yeah.
And there's probably like 3 or 4 people that are probably dedicated to listening to watching it on YouTube, maybe a little more, maybe 5, but it's like it's worth it. Even, you know, it's like not a big deal to, you know,
do
absolutely. That. So not sure why I brought that up. And maybe I'm at the end of my spool.
Well, you should post some of your YouTube clips to the Facebook group, because I didn't know you had a YouTube channel. So
what
you'll
I
get
do,
one follower out of this.
I don't always post. I do not always post in the zine in a zine group, just because not everything's always zine related.
Yeah.
But then what I've been doing now is every time I post the podcast, I'll put in the comments the video. So I'm not like sucking up bandwidth of people spamming.
Gotcha. Cool.
Yeah, and it's as far as that goes, it's it's pretty much the same file. I'm trying to think. It doesn't have the intro, the opening, because that's just too much work.
Fair enough.
As you can see from my background.
No.
So anyway, well, thanks again, gentlemen. We will. We better cut this off before we go for another 20 minutes. So anyway, thanks again for joining me. And
thank you, Jeff.
Sure. Until next time.
See you, everybody.
Bye.
Well, thank you guys. I really appreciate that.
That was cool.